Hello. Well, here I am in my rig that I bought, my 10-foot U-Haul Morgan mini mover. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. I already cut this pass through. I kind of regret cutting it all the way behind the passenger seat, but I was thinking that I would put this on a swivel and this would be like my easy chair. And this is my home in here, or my future home. Let me show it to you here. Okay, well, this is the estimated place for the door. I'm thinking about building my own door because they're so expensive. And I couldn't find one sold from an American retailer that was less than 6 foot. And I'd like to retain some of this wood up here to retain its strength. The bed, well, this will be a desk area here. I'm going to follow another YouTuber named Randy, his layout. This right back here will be my bed, around that height, maybe a little higher. And then underneath it will be the garage that will be accessible through barn doors from the back. This whole rolling up door is going to go away. And then above it, I would like to have a wall with a good sized window, but that whole wall can lift up. So for not only to have like an Instagram moment where I'm like parked looking out at the beach on my bed, having this breeze coming through, but also so I could, like, if I needed to move something big into the van, I could go through that whole section right there. This will be the cooking area and the sink. And I'm gonna find like a foot pump water system, or maybe an electrical. I'm going to have to get the whole electrical. I would like to cover this entire roof with solar, with the exception of maybe enough room for a max air fan. This will be the toilet area right here, and then ultimately after the conversion, after I have the title converted, I will actually, because I have to do a title conversion, you have to have a permanently affixed toilet. And so I will permanently affix this. And then afterward, I'm thinking I'll make it mobile on some casters, lockable casters. And then this whole area right here will be like a little shower area that'll have a little shower curtain. And instead of a gray water tank, I'm thinking about just having a basin and like maybe one of those oil catch things at auto parts supply or whatever, some kind of a basin, and then I just throw that water out when I'm out there at Bureau of Land Management or National Forest lands, and use a phosphate-free detergent, so it's good for the environment. Anyway, as you notice though, it's raining, right? And this is something I've been thinking about for a long time. That morning or that night when I'm laying on my bed here, hearing that pitter patter on the roof. I love that sound of rain because I don't hear it that much here in Southern California. People get used to rain and they take it for granted, but I really love that feeling of juxtaposition between being it's all cold and wet outside and then being warm and nurtured here inside. And of course that is privilege. Privilege is required for that, or hard work. And hard work often requires a lot of privilege to be able to have the resources to do that work. This will be insulated. I'll put an insulative layer on this, and so it won't be as loud as this, but really I love the sound. I look forward to being out there, having a fully stocked freezer and / refrigerator, plenty of water, plenty of dry goods. I just parked. I got 14 more days, and I could just, and it would be nice to have a really good internet connection, and just kicking back here, watching YouTube, perhaps on a 32-inch television. I would probably want a 32-inch television over here on a swivel that could be against the wall. Look out if I wanted to open up that wall, or turn this way. And this is the area. The door will be here, so this will be a nice area to be able to stand. I like to stand up a lot. It's one of the reasons why I wanted a rig that I can stand up in. I have space. I'm even wearing I'm wearing my Crocs and can actually stand up in here. I've been procrastinating on this though. This door thing has been vexing. And when I watch Randy's channel, it gives me a lot of stress because he's so proficient. This is not going to be as nice as his. Oh, and one thing, like I said, I'm going to try to build my own door. That's been stressful, the thinking of building my own door, using this material and then using like angle aluminum, and then putting a hinge on it, and then trying to weatherproof it. But I think that's probably more realistic. Making it about this size, 21 inches by maybe shorter than this, maybe down to right here. And then having at the bottom here, having a detachable step ladder system that I store here, and then when I open it up, I just put it down there. And I would probably do that. I'd get out from the driver's side, walk around, open it up, and then bring it down. And then at camp, this is how I'd come in and out of the rig. It was tempting to think about maybe just putting a door back there, but I like the idea of the garage and the bed. Putting a window here, window there, and ultimately, after I build the door, a window inside the door, but I'll do that afterward. I'm thinking about, of course, the walls are going to be insulated, and I'm thinking about putting mirrored surfaces along the roof, maybe not over the bed, because seeing myself in bed is probably not the greatest thing, but I like the idea of putting lots of mirrors because it would make the place feel a lot bigger. And I always really like that infinite mirror thing when two mirrors are facing each other. That's always been trippy. I like that effect. I would like that, and maybe some light colored wood, and maybe some mother-in-law tongue plants throughout. This rig has so much potential. It was, according to that mechanic, really nice. He was kind of raving about it, that it was in such good shape. And the U-Haul guy thought it was the best that they had in stock. And it was all ready to go. I remember going there earlier this year, and I backed out of a deal that was about $1,200 less than this rig, but it wasn't as nice, and it had more mileage. It had 20,000 more miles on it than this. And I told people about the last time I went to the U-Haul to pick up one of these rigs, and I kind of felt ashamed that I backed out, because I told people, hey, I'm going to go there and buy that. This time I didn't tell anybody. Didn't tell my friend Phil, didn't tell my husband. And I didn't even commit to buying it. I said I was kind of freaking out in the morning, really, because I'm afraid to spend money. That's one of my things that really triggers me. So I'm like, you know what? You don't have to buy anything. You don't even have to go there. Just get in the car and start driving. And then then I found myself there. I'm like, you don't have to buy anything. Just look around. You don't even have to talk to that guy. Just look around. So I was, and I did. And I brought a piece of cardboard so I could climb underneath the rigs. And then, I wanted to do a test drive on this rig. And I just was feeling really good about it. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to call a mechanic and have him look at it. And it took a while to get a mechanic out there, but I found one. I don't know how thorough he was, but he knew more than me, and he stuck his computer up to this computer, and I didn't have that equipment. And then I said, I'll make an offer. and I did. And I drove it home and parked it in the driveway, and I went in and I said, hey, Greg, hey, come check this out. And he walks out and he's like, he was free. He was really tripping out. And then we pulled it out, and then, and then I parked it. And then I had to ask him to drive me there so I can pick up my car, my Toyota. And so we did, and he dropped me off, and he said he was still in disbelief. Because I've been talking about this for so long. He's been hearing about it forever. And here I've actually moved forward. And this rig has so much potential. I've heard such good things about the GMC full-size vans. Can I pull this off? Could I, the plan is to leave in 27. January 27. Get this all whipped up into shape and then get out of here January 27. Will I be able to pull it off? Will I be able to support myself on the road? Doing the campground hosting, sugar beet harvest, Amazon, or maybe get a job over at Quartzsite? Will I be able to make enough to cover the insurance on this, health insurance, food, maintenance, emergency fund? I have some savings, but I want to be able to keep that as an emergency fund. Will I be able to make any money on this YouTube? I'm not planning on it right now. This is when I'm talking now, I'm not looking for AdSense revenue. That's that's more long term if people are interested in what I have to say. The main thing I just want to talk about in these videos is that I've had a wall up all these years. This personality is social avoidant, and it's been afraid of people, but it really hasn't been afraid of people so much as it's been afraid of this mind reacting to perceived slights and maybe real slights. Really, this mind has been its own worst enemy, not because it was trying to, but because that's how this was maladapted. You know, my teacher's teacher's teacher said that somebody asked him, do we actually have to test ourselves? He says, yes, because how do you separate reality from fancy, basically? And there's this nagging doubter over here that's waiting to taste the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. And it's not an unrealistic demand. For it to have faith in this project, it has to taste the sweet fruit. And there's hope. But I do want to say, in closing, that I do think my whole posture these last 20 years of seeking, spiritual seeking, the whole posture, the whole crazy, insane, ridiculous enlightenment first, then fix your life, which has been the entire, it's been the entire thrust, strategy. No doubt, a lot of it was evasion. But there was this hypothesis that if suffering ended, the acute, needless withering away of suffering, if that went away, things would be a lot easier. Now, don't get me wrong. Part of me was hoping it was going to be cloud nine, boom, the whole way, cloud nine. Even though, I kind of intellectually knew that it wasn't going to be. It was still going to be hard work. You know the saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water, and then after enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Part of me still kind of was hoping it would be cloud nine, and in a way it sort of is, because my body is no longer reporting distress. It's actually reporting joy. It loves being here. I think it always did, but it couldn't be seen because this mind was way too loud, chasing other things, and dualism, hid that the delight of being behind that veil of conditional joy, and then suffering and emptiness and fullness and all that bullshit. All right, I was totally rambling here. So anyway, look at my rig. All right. Talk to you later.